This is Retirement Keys with Anthony Congemi from Crescent City Retirement Group. When a part of your financial strategy is out of tune, your long-term goals, your retirement savings, and your legacy can all suffer. With many years of experience in the financial industry, Anthony provides his clients and prospects with the information they need regarding Social Security, retirement income planning, wealth management, and much more. Listen in as we address your financial concerns and provide helpful solutions to put you on the path to achieving your retirement goals. And now, here is Retirement Keys with your host, Anthony Congemi.
Okay, welcome to another edition of Retirement Keys. My name's Anthony Congemi. I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have our fabulous co-host with us, as we do every Sunday morning, Mr. Tony Shore. Tony, you with us today? Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, it's great to be here, Anthony. Thanks for having me on the show once again. And I know we have a very, very special episode lined up. I'm excited about this one. I know our listeners are going to love it. You have a very special guest. But yeah, I've been good. I had a great 4th of July. Got a chance to go down and see my parents, help them out a little bit. My wife and I went down there, and then we came back up for the 4th and got to see the kids for a couple of days. They all stopped by to see us, so now they're all out and about. They're older now, so all three are in college, so my wallet's hurting, but love to see them. How about you, Anthony? You have a good 4th?
Yeah, I did. So would y'all call yourselves empty nesters now?
I think we're very close. Anna goes off to college this fall, and then we'll be empty nesters, so no one living at home. That'll be really different for us. But hey, tell us about our special guest today.
Absolutely. Well, Tony, estate and legacy planning or enhanced planning, is a big part of our retirement plans and the things we think are so important as it relates to retirement planning. And obviously estate and legacy planning, enhanced planning is a big part of that. And so our guest today is Mr. Blake Guidry. Blake is a managing attorney at Florida Lee Law and Title in the Lakeview area. He's a New Orleans boy. He went to law school here at Loyola. His practice primarily is real estate title transactions, as well as wills, estate planning documents, successions, trusts, business formation. So he really knee-deep in legacy and estate planning. As I say, he's a native in New Orleans, born and raised here. He now lives in Lakeview. He's got his wife, Amy, a very artistic lady from what I understand, a daughter, Caroline. And again, Blake graduated from Loyola Law School and has his master's in business. And so we're just so happy to have Blake here. Tony, estate and legacy planning and how things are going to transition to the next folks in line, our heirs, are so important as it relates to legacy and estate planning. So we're so happy to have Blake with us. So Blake, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully I can add some value to the show.
Absolutely, man. Well, we appreciate you taking the time out to do the show with us. Like I said, I mean, we've been in practice since 1992. A lot of our clients over the years, have passed away, and so we've seen folks. Frankly, even in my own family, I've seen relatives I've had that have had really their legacy plan, their estate plan in really good order, and see how that transition goes. And then I've seen the other side of it where things weren't, as orderly as they could have been, and then what a mess it can create. And so we just really stress, we really want our clients to have a proper estate and legacy plan and have all the I's dotted and the T's crossed. And so that's why we're so, passionate about legacy planning. And again, we appreciate you being here. So I think I'm going to start with some questions, Blake.
Sure.
let's start with just just define what is an estate plan. What help us with the terminology.
Sure. So, I think a lot of people, the estate plan, it can be overwhelming. And really what we try to emphasize with our clients is the most important thing is to just get started and to get your blanket in order, so that there aren't any unexpected anything unexpected happens later. But your estate plan is an always ever evolving process, so it's important. The most difficult and important thing to do is just to get started. With an estate plan, we're really just gathering your personal financial scenario, whether or not you have kids, whether or not you have, what type of assets you have, whether or not there are any specific, family histories or disabilities that need to be taken into account.
Mm-hmm.
But we're really just gathering your total financial picture and really just getting the basic documents in order to make it, one, easy for your family if and when anything happens to you, and then also to customize it based off of any tools that we can use to leverage and maximize your assets after death. So.
Right. So really, it's really about your heirs, spouse, kids, grandkids, or whoever's going to inherit. It really just that transition to them and trying to do that, if you will, in the most efficient way.
Yeah, the most efficient way, most cost-effective way. Whether or not we want to leverage tools such as a trust or a testamentary trust. If you have, minor children,
mm-hmm.
that you have assets that you want to have protected, that you want to maximize those assets for your children.
Or even grandchildren.
Mm-hmm. Whether or not you have, prior marriages, kids, you're making sure that, your assets transfer in the manner in which, you want them to transfer.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really the most important thing. It's just getting your will in place. I always call your will your blanket. So I think the most important thing is to have a blanket.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are specialty boxes that can be included that are in addition to your blanket.
Uh-huh.
So anytime you pull anything and put it into a box, such as a trust, you're just using that as a tool to leverage your estate plan and to maximize, the cost and the burden on your family
when you transition.
When you transition.
Right. So let me ask you this. Let's just talk about a will then.
Sure.
As the blanket. So a will, if someone passes away and they don't have a will, what happens?
Yeah, so if you pass away and you don't have a will, there are two types of scenarios that happen. First, any IRAs, any 401ks, anything with a designated beneficiary, those will be handled outside of your estate, and the beneficiaries will receive the proceeds or any distributions from anything with a designated beneficiary. But any titled assets, anything, bank accounts, cars,
real estate.
Real estate is one of the most important things.
Mm-hmm.
Those will need to go through the estate or the probate succession process
mm-hmm.
in order to have those titles appropriately transferred. So that's what happens when you pass away. If you have a will, generally you will be required to probate that will with the court, and based off of what is designated in the will, you're telling the court to approve the distribution of your assets in compliance with your will.
Mm-hmm.
If you die without a will,
mm-hmm. then
you're subject to how Louisiana law would treat the distribution of your assets at your death.
Mm-hmm.
So that would include, any imagine you pass away with 3 children, and you're married to your spouse. There would be a usufruct in place in favor of your spouse, and then your children would be the naked owners of the property. But that's an equal ownership. If you wanted one child to receive a specific, we call it a bequest. So if you wanted your daughter to receive a specific family heirloom, if you wanted somebody to have the car because you already purchased a car for another child,
right?
If
boat,
a camp, somebody received tuition, so you paid for college tuition for one, but the rest you wanted to make sure that there was an equitable distribution of the estate.
Sure.
Then it really just goes by the Louisiana law. In the event you don't have a will, your will is meant to make specific directives so that you can truly take care of your family in the manner in which you want
to do it. Yeah, I mean, so at the end of the day, I mean, I guess we could say that at the very least, a will, which you're calling kind of a blanket document, the will. And then, of course, as you mentioned, the beneficiary designation is so important in your retirement plans, anything with a beneficiary, IRAs, 401ks, life insurance, annuities, all of these contracts have beneficiary designations. So they pass on directly by those beneficiary designations. But then everything else that has a title, really, that would go through what we would call succession in Louisiana, as you say, probate in most states, I think, but success where the title is transferred to the next folks in line, that goes through the will, correct?
That goes through the will, and if there's not a will, then it is called an intestate succession, in which you're requesting the court approval to transfer the assets to the surviving heirs in the manner that is directed by Louisiana law.
Right. Let me ask you a question. Tell me a little bit about this per stirpes. So, and I'll just tell you what I understand, or I think I understand. If I have 4 boys, and let's assume they're a little older, 2 of them have already, are on their own, and they're married and they have kids. So, then of course I'd have these grandkids, right? And so I have my 4 boys, and let's say me and my oldest son, we love to fish together. Let's say we're in a boating accident, we're killed together. Let's just say that happens. Hope it never does. Well, Anthony, my oldest son, he's my, beneficiary, right? And so the question is now, if he's got kids, my grandkids from Anthony, if we were to pass away together, the way I understand it is, if I don't have it set up properly on my beneficiary designations, conceivably I could have just disinherited those grandkids, and then my remaining 3 beneficiaries, the 3 boys, would get a third, a third, and a third. So the per stirpes would. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, and this is in the event you don't have a will.
Well, I'm talking about beneficiary designations on like life insurance, annuities, retirement plans. But even in the will, I mean, is there a per stirpes? In other words, if I want to, if I'm going to leave something to Anthony who passes away with me, and now I want his kids to receive their daddy's share, right? So I want it to go down. I want it to branch down. Does the will have to specify that per se, or did I?
Well, if you have a designated beneficiary in a life insurance plan, usually you have a supplemental, contingent beneficiary, and if your intention was, in the same scenario that you just had, for your son's children to receive the benefit in the event anything happened to him, then that would have to be designated as a beneficiary, as a supplemental beneficiary. Now, if your supplemental beneficiary was another one of your children, then they would skip. They would go in line, and it would go straight to your other child as the supplemental beneficiary, and it would essentially skip the children of
the
your
one that
son
passed
who passed away in conjunction
Yeah,
with you.
and so a lot of when we talk to our clients, at the end of the day, we really just want to make sure that we understand what their goals are, what their objectives would be in these types of scenarios. And so, as you say, the will is a very important document. Beneficiary designations are very important. What other documents would you say are kind of blanket? Can you talk to us a little bit about power of attorney and why that's important?
Sure. So there's a couple of documents that we include. We call it, everybody thinks, hey, I need a will.
Right.
To us, I think you really need a full estate plan package that includes a will, because a will, a lot of the times I say, and I say it a lot, I think a durable power of attorney is almost as important as a will.
Really?
And that's just from my experience, particularly in my experience in real estate. And usually I get the calls, kind of when it's too late. And my first question is, did you, as part of your estate plan, not only have a will, but have a durable power of attorney? And why is that important? So I'll go through what an estate plan package includes. An estate plan package includes not only your will, but includes a living will, which is different than just a simple testamentary will. A living will is your medical directives. It's a list of, it takes the burden off of your family in making important medical decisions.
If somebody's on like some type of life support,
how, whether or not, and how you want to be buried. Those are the types of things that it covers, right? Whether or not you want to receive life support treatment, artificial or feeding support,
right?
And how much. Hospice, those types of things are all included in your living will. So that's the second part of the package. The third, and in my opinion, most important, is the durable power of attorney. And the durable power of attorney comes into play when, at the end of your life, there are, if you become incapacitated for any reason, if you have any disabilities or anything that affects your capacity to make decisions for yourself, and you want to make sure that your affairs are still in order. You want to make sure that somebody has access to be able to keep bills paid on the house, to be able to pay out of your savings and not out of their own savings for end-of-life care, to make, credit card payments, anything.
Somebody that can kind of act in your stead.
Can act in your stay, exactly. And that's what a durable power of attorney is. It can be as general or specific as you want it to be, and it basically gives the power to somebody in your family or somebody who you trust to basically step into your stay in the event anything happens to you that affects your ability to manage your own affairs. Whether or not it's, you get in a car wreck and you're hospitalized for any reason. If you start getting onset and, later on,
a little senility.
Any dementia, anything that affects your ability to make a financial decision.
Right.
Or even physical or capacity specific. The durable power of attorney gives somebody the flexibility to come in and assist in making those important financial decisions for you.
Right, and that typically might be the spouse might give power of attorney to each other. It might be one of the kids.
Yeah, it might be the oldest kid. It might be generally, if you're appointing somebody as an executor for your estate within your will, a lot of the times you're using the executor who you're trusting to manage your affairs after death to also be the one managing your affairs, in the event anything happens to you leading up
to that. So then this package sounds like the will, a last will and testament, real important, making sure that it's, I'm going to use the word customized because maybe, you have an heirloom. Maybe you want your, this son to get the boat, and that son or that daughter to get the jewelry, or whatever it might be. That happens in the will. The beneficiary designations, of course, are very important because all those assets don't go through succession, as you said. It goes directly to the named beneficiaries. Then you say the living will, and then, of course, the durable power of attorney. So these are the items to really shore up your estate plan. Would you say this is kind of the core of it?
That's the core. And the only other thing that we left out of that package is whether or not we want to leverage a trust or a testamentary trust within your will, whether or not we want to create a trust now or create a testamentary trust that will become active
at your death.
At your death when you probate your will.
Yeah.
A lot of great information on the show today. You talked about wills, estate planning, and Anthony, you asked him a lot about things like trusts. And a lot of people out there, a lot of our listeners might think, well, I don't need any of that, or I've got plenty of time. But it's like that old adage, when's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago, right? And the second best time is today. So you shouldn't put this off, because it really can make a huge financial difference, and you don't want to leave your loved ones in a bad situation. And really, Blake, I wanted to ask you, the cost of this, the cost of putting together a will and an estate plan is really insignificant compared to how much it could save you in the long run in your family, isn't it?
Absolutely. That's one of the biggest surprises that we get from our clients is, you hear attorney and, managing affairs and,
sounds like a lot of money.
Together your estate planning. It seems like a lot of time, effort, and money. In reality, I think people are really, really floored whenever they hear, how reasonable it is compared to, really what it costs in the event, you don't have it in place.
Right.
And just for, just number purposes, just a simple will. A simple will is, we charge $350.
Right.
$350 just to have a simple will. Now, for the full package, where we really recommend that you have your full package of items in place, is we generally charge an $1,000 estate planning package, and that's the baseline that includes everything. Simple will. It includes. It can be a complex will. If you're married, for instance, it's just an extra $250 for a married couple to have both of their wills,
living wills,
powers of attorney. And
so somewhere in the neighborhood of about $1,250 for the whole package for the married couple, and that's the will, the living will, the power of attorney, the whole package there, huh?
That's correct.
Is that what we're saying? Yeah. Yeah, very good. As you say, I mean, it really, for the amount of money and time saved on the other end, when somebody passes away and they don't have anything in place, we've seen it. We see it. Like I say, I saw it in my own family, and I see it with clients that just put this kind of thing off. It's really a drop in the bucket compared to what the problems are that can come up later.
Before we go, Blake, why don't you let our listeners know how they can get a hold of you if they have questions for you?
Absolutely. So we have offices in really the Gulf South. So part of what differentiates our office is that, it doesn't matter where you're at. If you're in the metropolitan area or surrounding areas of New Orleans and the North Shore in Baton Rouge, we have a place for you, and attorneys managing each location. My office is located right around the corner on Harrison Avenue in West Lakeview. It's 145 West Harrison. You can always call me at 504-339-4321. My email is blake@fdltitle.com. And if you have general questions for our office, or you want to reach a North Shore office or a Baton Rouge office, then you can call 985-227-5550 is our general line. And that's 985-277-5550. And we're happy to help. Just want to talk. And again, one of the things that we didn't mention here is that the consultation is free. So generally, before we even start any work, we just want to have a conversation and see how we can help.
That's fabulous, man.
All
Well,
right.
Blake, we appreciate you joining us. And folks, we hope you enjoyed today's segment with Mr. Blake Guidry. And we have a special offer we'd like to offer you. So please take advantage of it.
All right. And also stay tuned. Next week, we will air part 2 of the interview. We're going to split it into 2 parts. We appreciate you tuning in. That does it for today's episode of Retirement Keys with our host, Anthony Congemi. Thank you for listening to Retirement Keys. Don't pay too much for taxes or retire without a sound income plan. For more information, please contact Anthony Congemi at Crescent City Retirement Group. Call 504-828-2171 or visit the website at crescentcityretirement.com.
All matters discussed during the show are for informational purposes only. Each individual situation may vary, and the opinions expressed here may not apply to everyone. Materials presented are believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations can be made as to its accuracy. All ideas and information should be discussed in detail with one of our qualified representatives prior to implementation. We are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration, the Federal Medicare Program, or any other government agency. Calling this number will direct you to a licensed sales agent.